So today's podcast is very informative. It is not only relevant for students but also entrepreneurs. आज हमने invite किया है मनन मेहता, the founder of Modernizing Processes. So आज हमने बात की है NoCode and AI पे. हमने ये जाना है कि NoCode और low-code में क्या फर्क है और NoCode, low-code, AI कैसे इंडियन इकोनॉमी को सपोर्ट करने वाला है टू रीच 5 ट्रिलियन. और हमने ये भी जाना है कि हाउ स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम इज चेंजिंग एंड हाउ एंटरप्रेन्योर्स आर मेकिंग देयर और बिल्डिंग देयर स्टार्टअप्स bootstrapped. We have also identified the roadmap towards the AI revolution and how companies are actually leveraging AI into their daily processes. So we have also learned from Manan that how he has gone to different countries, learned their culture, learned their work processes, and he has also given a very good marketing strategy. So हमने ये भी बात की है कि इंजीनियर्स को मास्टर्स के लिए अब्रॉड जाना चाहिए या नहीं. So I'm very much sure that आपको ये पॉडकास्ट अच्छा लगेगा. Great. So I really want to know from the king of no-code, what is no-code?
Okay, great. Firstly, thank you for giving that title, but I don't still feel that I'm there. But probably in a couple of years, let's see. Fingers crossed. Okay. So to dive into no-code. No-code is basically just a medium, and it's actually a concept. Now, I'll take you to the basics of the computer world. How it works is there's an input and there's an output, and in the middle there's a process. Now, this process, all this while, usually for that process you need some logic. That logic, the way you communicate that logic to the computer is the medium. Now, all this while it started from some kind of heavy code. Then eventually that code became simpler. Then it became simpler. So considering the oldest systems, your code for simple logic also the code lines would be huge because it was too complex you had to define every single thing. Now the code logic is smaller, but of course it still needs code. Code basically requires skills. No code is basically a concept which eliminates the skill where you need to write things in the syntax. You still need the logic, but you can now do it in English. So basically eliminating the medium of knowing semicolon dalna hai, this, that, etc. You eliminate that, and now you use simple logic, simple English language, simple drag and drop to develop stuff. And with no code, you can develop 3 things. One is a website, other is a web app or any other app, and third is automations. Now, all these 3 things require coding first. With the concept of no code, there are multiple tools out there which allow you to build all these 3 things without knowing the logic of coding, the language of coding. Right. But you still need to know concepts.
So I want to know, like, this is like a very simple doubt, very silly doubt, but is there any difference between coding, low code and no code? Because many people get confused between all these 3 terms.
Of course. No, it's the difference is very simple. So coding requires high skill, of course, for which a lot of people spend a lot of time to learn. Now, if somebody suddenly decides that I want to become a coder, it's going to take them the same amount of time.
Okay.
And because it's a high level skill, it should also be used for high level applications. Coding is the base for everything. It's extremely important. But at the same time, for smaller problems, you don't need such high skilled people or high skilled code. When we move to no code is the extreme end of the spectrum where you need no coding skills. Okay. You can simply build things with logic. And low code is somewhere in the middle. It's basically a hybrid of code and no code coming together. So in simple terms, no code is like kindergarten and code is like graduation. And low code is somewhere in the middle.
Got it. So I recently, I was training the students in some of the universities and engineers in specifically. All are coming with this thing that I want to go into technology.
Correct.
I want to do a master's from abroad, come back to India and build their company. Do you believe that these people come back? A, and is there a future of coding? Because no code is taking over many things, right? So that's my question to you. What is the scope of no code, and what do you suggest this students, right, or this freshers for starting their technology career? How do they start?
No, this is a great question. I get this very often. So, firstly, for your first question, the people who go abroad come back or no? Now, see, that is very subjective. It also depends. But if you talk about India, India is now the tech hub of the world. Okay, so the only pros and cons when I talk about staying abroad or not is the exposure. You get a lot of exposure out there, and you also get paid for the amount of work you are doing over there. It's higher.
Okay.
The amount of pay, but it's also because the amount of costs are higher.
Right.
So that's why they have to compensate higher. Okay, but if you talk about problem solving, if you talk about the kind of things you can learn in our country because of the volume, basically, the kind of things and kind of smartness that you will grow in here is a different level. So both have its own pros and cons, and then there are multiple things like the culture, the family, what not. So based on that, it's a decision that is open-ended. But what I strongly right now feel is the world is very small. Like everything is online, so I can easily work for a lot of people in the US, for example, if that's what people are going for, while sitting here.
Right.
So it makes a lot of difference. Okay, so moving on, you were asking me about if coding has a future or not. Now I'll take some time to explain one simple concept that I had come across. Do you know what happened when Starbucks started scaling? So Starbucks started from a one store outfit, okay, and then it suddenly started scaling across a lot of villages and a lot of small towns. The other cafes in the villages got worried. Okay, Starbucks will take over my business. Do you know what happened?
No, I think Starbucks were not able to secure tier 2, tier 3 cities. That's for sure.
No, not really.
Okay, they were.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe coexist. Both of them coexist.
Actually, not just coexist. What happened was the entire market started drinking more coffee.
Oh.
So what happened is the market pie increased. Now, because NoCode has become democratized, what I see, and I've already seen this in the last 3 years since I've been working on this, that people who never thought about coding, people who never thought about technology, has now started opening up and thinking about technology. What it means is the entire pie is getting bigger. So coders are, in fact, in my opinion, coders will get more work because what will happen? All these no coders will come, bring together, build some technology, and will leave it up to the coders to work on top of it.
Sure.
So, in my opinion, this pie is only going to get bigger, and that's very similar to what we have seen with graphic design. Like Canva came in, it did not take over Photoshop. It in fact made Photoshop people more valuable. Sure. And that's the same thing, same analogy here.
Wow. So that's a really good input from you. But going on the discussion number 1, the students, right, which we were talking, like they're going abroad and coming back. See, there are universities who are actually, having the, I would say the fees are going around crore and
more than crore, right? They go there and the India next 5 years are the global years for India. Yeah. So would you not advise students to basically build their technology here or upskill here itself, and maybe the packages here like equivalent, what I know, a 24 lakh to 54 lakh is equivalent to the average salary there, right?
So what I have seen is the parity is more or less 1:4 or 1:5,
right.
Comparing from India to US or comparing with Europe is 1:3. So for example, if you're earning 1 rupee here, it's equivalent to earning 3 rupees in the US. So convert in dollars and everything, 4 rupees in the US. Now, what I strongly believe is whenever you're comparing, if you're just talking about money, okay, as your end goal, you should always keep in mind the parity. That if you're earning 1 crore in the US after conversions, if you are earning 25 lakhs over here, you are equivalent.
Yeah.
Because the amount of money you save over there and the amount of money you save over here, there will be significant difference. But in that money, you will be able to do a lot more in India with a lot of other things. So, yes, that's one thing that you need to keep a factor of. Second thing, what I would say is in terms of technology, tech is extremely broad. So, certain things like, for example, if you're talking about research, now research is something which happens better abroad, doesn't happen well in India. But if you talk about execution, services, hardware, all those things happen better here. So depending on what you are inclined towards, what kind of work you want to work in, what industry you want to work in, you should make the decision in an informed manner. Because if you want to work, see, this is something I strongly recommend to any student now, that choose a field that you are really interested in, that you enjoy doing, and not just because it has a bigger package, not just because it has more opportunity. Because whatever field you choose,
Yeah, true.
if you are the best in it, you will have opportunity, and you will get paid at whatever level. But payment, money is secondary. Like after reaching a point, money becomes, of course, you need money to sustain and stuff. But if you're earning 1 crore or 1.2 crore, it won't make a lot of difference. Because your mental satisfaction and mental peace and stuff, when you're enjoying the work you do, it's also like a long game, right? You want to do this work for 20, 30, 40 years of your life. So you need to focus on what you like. Of course, I'm coming from a 3-year, 4-year career growth right now. So take it with a pinch of salt.
No, this is what my message was, because as you said, rightly said, right? It's been years that India has been the hub for IT, right? But now what happened last 10 years, decade, everybody's moving towards Silicon Valley.
Correct.
Right now, again, what is happening because of the gift city, everybody's moving back to India, and there's a reverse migration, which we are saying. So I personally believe that definitely the point is very clear that whatever you like, as you clearly mentioned, if you're looking towards service business, you should come back to India. If you're looking from a research sort of thing, the technology is still there in Silicon Valley and US. But my take also, I agree on the same thing that, you should go for something which you enjoy. And then it's obviously about the long-term plans which you have. So yeah, moving forward, I want to also know about the salaries. NoCode mein, so being very simple, right? Because मैंने अभी एक research पढ़ा था, जहाँ NoCode वाले ज़्यादा कमा रहे हैं low-code और coding वालों के comparatively. So why is this happening?
It's simple. See, at this moment, the skill is distributed amongst very few people. Very few people took on to it and made the most out of it. And now suddenly all the MNCs, all the big companies started seeing, okay, this skill is valuable. And it's a simple demand versus supply, right? So right now, their demand is increasing, supply is low, because very few people know about it. So they will demand a higher pay scale.
Right.
Second thing is the amount of work a no-coder can achieve. I'm talking about like smaller, simpler stuff. Okay,
Right.
like for example, automating your email, for example. Now, the kind of work a no-coder can do in a day and the kind of work in the same domain a coder can do in a day is different.
Okay.
Now, for a company, what matters is the output. For the company, it doesn't matter how much time are they spending, how much effort they are doing. Nothing matters. The output matters, right? So, if a company can achieve bigger output in lesser amount of time with the same person, who would they choose? They would choose the no-coder.
Yeah.
Now, that no-coder, in a month of code versus no-coder, the no-coder is actually giving more output to the company. So, he gets paid more at the moment. But this will also start democratizing.
Okay.
As soon as people realize no-code jobs are a good thing. Now, right now is a great time to get into it. But probably a couple of years down the line, it will again get saturated and get stagnated.
This is where the bell curve comes in. So we saw in 2018 that digital marketing just got boosted in India because of Modi government saying that digital India. And then 2021, everybody was into digital marketing.
Correct.
So same way, no code. But I want to have a take, like, I want to understand the difference, because at then everybody assumes, and this is my personal thing also, which I want to ask you, that is no code easier to learn than obviously going towards the full stack? Like that's a major...
No, 100%. 100% it's much easier to learn. I'll tell you why. No-code platforms, whatever no-code platforms are built by coders themselves. So coders already know, okay, what is the hard work they have done, what is the kind of effort they have put to develop this platform and to just develop other things. So their whole game and whole aim is to get more people into this easily.
True.
So the people who are making these platforms are making sure that these are easy to learn. So any no-coder who comes in, it has to be like, they can be called no-coders only if the learning curve is simpler. Only then they'll come in. So definitely much easier to learn. And at the same time, this is something that no-code and code is now, like, a lot of people think people are fighting against each other. So a no-coder and a coder are actually competing with each other. But in my experience, the best output is received by the coders themselves. So now, for example, in my team, I have a coder who has embraced no-code. So what he does is, he decides this is a big problem, I need code for this. This is a small problem, I should not use my code, I should use no-code.
True.
So he decides what he wants to use. And that's where the most value is. A coder embracing no-code is is phenomenal.
This is where I have a personal example in my team. Like in my team, there is a studio manager who basically he's a video editor, right?
Yeah.
So he embraces AI to edit the videos. So earlier it was not like, it was really a difficult task to give the cuts and etc. Now it is very easy because of the NoCode AI. That will be the new trending word which will be coming. So yeah, that's a great take. So now I want to know from you also, like you consult many startups, right? You have been consulting many startups. You have been consulting many SMEs and MSMEs. So first question to you, what is the difference between a bootstrap business and obviously a well-funded business, and how it will change in next 5 years with the level of no-code which is coming into the place?
Great question. Okay, so this is what I have understood so far and this is a generalized trend that I've seen. There might be outliers in both the cases, but with bootstrap companies, what usually happens is they are always a little conservative with what they want to build.
True.
Which is also good because they clearly know they want to invest money here and they will make sure that it gets successful. Okay. On the flip side, a startup, when we are working with a startup, they are really impulsive. So they suddenly decide, let's allocate so much budget for this. And again, suddenly decide, okay, forget it. It's not working. Get out of it.
Yeah.
So startups are really impulsive, really agile. Bootstrap companies are take informed decisions, take a lot of time, and also make sure that it gets successful. Sure. So that's the biggest difference because again, it's all dependent on the kind of funding they have, like the kind of how they have seen money, their equation with money. So and both the ways are good.
Like so currently the fashion is changing, right? People are saying that now we don't want investment, we'll go bootstrap. Is this happening because no code is in the place? That's a question.
See, it definitely makes things simpler, right? Because now, even if no coders are more expensive, by paying an expensive salary, you can get product market fit faster.
True.
Right? But you are paying expensive salaries, that's okay. But you are having lesser people and you're spending lesser time. So salary over 3 months and coder salary over 9 months, that's where the difference is. So what happens is, usually startups, any funded startup has a runway based on the money they have received. Now, in that same runway, with a no-coder, either you can do like 4 or 5 iterations to make your startup successful, or you can have a longer runway. Either or, based on your investment. But the point is that you reach product market fit faster. You can iterate faster. You can, with no-coders, what you can do is you can build your product fast. You can go to the market fast. You can get feedback, iterate on top of it much quicker, and reach product market fit faster. Now, after reaching product market fit, fundraising is not a problem because you are either generating revenue or you show it to an investor and they'll give you money because you have already validated that people will pay so much amount. This product makes sense, etc., etc. After that, the point of scale, you can still do it with no code if you want to, or you can do it with code. But the biggest challenge for startups is reaching product market fit.
Yeah.
If we make that cycle faster, the success story increases. Now, because this journey to reach product market fit has become easier with no code, it's also cheaper. Okay. So that's the reason where they don't really need a lot of funds to be raised.
Okay.
And they can take care. And we have seen a lot of founders who themselves are not technical, but they embrace no code and they learn themselves. And they build it themselves. Because now imagine a founder has seen the problem firsthand and he himself is building the product. The difference between him communicating to a team and getting a product built and him building the product himself, there's vast difference. So it becomes easier. Right?
No, I mean, like successful startups like Growth School, I think their website is also no code.
Completely, yeah.
So I have seen the fashion is changing. Everybody's going towards no code. I mean, Webflow is there. There is obviously Glide. There is something known as Bubble. And they're embracing this softwares, or you can say tools and technologies, to be more fast, efficient, and they can scale it fast.
Correct.
So the product market fit is actually needed for a founder, because I am personally a founder, right? So I really want to know, like, what is the tenure, what is the time duration, right? Because how much time a no-code can save? Like, agar मैं आज product start कर रहा हूँ, I mean, obviously, I want to build a product. Coding में उसको 12 महीने लगते हैं, तो no-code में it will go to 50% or it will go down to 20-30%.
So as a thumb rule, internally what we have seen is 1/3. So If something takes 3 months, it can, with NoCode, it can be built in a month. When I'm talking about this, keeping a lot of star marks here, but star marks are, you are not building the next Twitter or not building the next Facebook or next Zomato. You are reaching product market fit. And when I say product market fit, you are focusing on the most important features right now. Yeah. To reach there, NoCode is at least like, it saves 2/3 of owner time. So
Wow.
that's a significant update.
Great. So you have been profitable. You have been profitable from day one. I really want to, tell my audience, because obviously I know you personally, but I really want to tell my audience what was your journey and how did you start and how are you building a profitable business using and leveraging NoCode?
Great question. So I actually started as a freelancer. Now, when you start as a freelancer, the only thing that you have to give away is your time. Nothing else. So whenever I am getting business, in the beginning, it was also the case where people hired me only for my attitude. Attitude to learn, attitude to tell them that, okay, I will make it work.
Yeah.
I know the means, I know how to do it, I have the time.
Sure.
And these are the 3 things that you want. Okay, I'll come on your team and I'll make it work. So people started paying me for that. Technically, I used to tell my clients also, you are paying me to learn. So there were cases where you go to an MBA college and you pay to learn.
Yeah.
In my case, that was the flip side, that I got paid to learn.
Great. That's a great thing. You
Yeah.
pay me to learn.
Yeah, pay me to learn. And I used to be open about it. And sometimes when I'm open about this, it's okay, I get paid a little lesser. But still, I know that I'm getting value and the client is also getting value. It's a win-win. So all my journey in the beginning was them paying me to learn or adding value mutually and building something. And every time you build something, best part about technology, you build something once, the things that you use over there stay with you. It's like cycling. You don't forget it. So once you learn cycling, the second time you don't have to start and do pedaling again and figure out. You are already balancing.
Yeah.
Now you do the next time. So with technology, it's the same. Every time I'm building something for some client, I'm getting paid. Plus I'm getting skills. So the next project I do, I already have something and I'm going one step higher. So consistently, my company, like I myself as a person, I'm also growing. And at the same time, once it reaches a point where, for me, it's been a very organic journey. At any point, I'm like, okay, I have 2 projects and I don't have enough time. Okay, find somebody else and we'll do 2 projects together. Now tomorrow, I have 2 people and I don't have enough projects. So find somebody to find a project.
Right.
So that's how we kept growing slowly and reached here. So because we always were sales oriented first, we got projects and then we paid out salaries. And it's all time versus money funda usually. It becomes easier to scale. I never had a mentality when I began because also I began in pandemic, everything was very conservative. So the mentality was always that get money first, then give it out, and not invest money first and then figure out a way to bring it in. Of course, this is also my first business, so I didn't know.
Typical Gujarati.
Yeah, like it comes from my traditional, like my roots also in a way. So it's a business mentality. I always call that I'm not a startup owner, I'm a business owner.
Yeah.
But now after this amount of exposure, if I think about it, if I knew the skills and stuff, and if I'm confident that I can give value, I wouldn't mind investing a big chunk in the beginning, setting up a big team, and then going to the market.
Right.
It's just that back then I didn't have the confidence. Now I do.
Sure. Wow. So, like, walk me through your, personal journey also. Like, what skill set do you have, right? And like, how did you reach into NoCode?
Correct.
How did you click the idea of NoCode?
No, great question. So, my personal journey, I'm actually a mechanical engineer, and I love machines. Okay. From where I came, I was a hardcore mechanical engineer. I hated laptops for that matter. I hated technology altogether. Technology in the sense, I hated IT because I was like, I can't imagine myself being in front of a laptop all day long.
Yeah.
There was one point in my college days, I was like, I think I'll spend my entire life without a laptop.
That is the reason you are the only salesperson in your company.
Yeah, probably.
Great.
But basically, because I loved machines so much, in the mechanical world also it's the same. There's an input, there's an output, and there's a process in the middle. It's just the process is taken care by machines. Now, wherever there's a process, there's logic. There's step-by-step approach. There's some kind of algorithm. Now, back then I never knew what is algorithm, etc. But when I moved the same skills to the tech field, to the IT field, I could see it's the same. You just have to think about the logic. You just have to think about the things in the middle, the processes. Secondly, when I graduated, the year I graduated, the pandemic hit.
Right.
So I was forced to be in front of a laptop. There was no other way. Like, if I had an option back then, I would probably still be finding some place where I could do things with machines.
Sure.
And eventually, maybe that's the end goal, that I will still do something in a factory or something. I don't know. But forced due to the pandemic, I was on a laptop and I was trying to explore things.
Yeah.
Now, before that, just let's take one step back. I was working at a warehouse. And at the warehouse, I was trying to automate certain things automate also was not a term for me. I was just trying to make processes simpler in the warehouse. And I was doing it on a Google Sheet.
Okay.
The only challenge I found was Google Sheet was not usable for my end users, for my blue collar workers, etc. I was like, there has to be a better way. And one fine day, I'm just Googling how to make Google Sheets look better or how to make an app. I don't exactly remember. And I came across Glide. When I came across Glide, there was no thing called as NoCode back then. Okay. Like this is 2019, 2020. That was just coming up.
Yeah.
I found Glide and I just built an app on top of it and I was mind blown. Like my first aha moment was, wow, if I could do this, I think this makes a lot of sense. Never thought about it as a business, but it was just a skill that I had acquired. Now, some time passes and then I'm forced behind a laptop through the pandemic and I'm just improving my skills on Glide, making things work, challenging my coder friends that what did you build today? And I'm trying to build the same and telling him that you build this, I also build this without code in so much time.
Wow.
So they could see, like, with big eyes, that how are you managing? How exactly do you do this? And I was like, there are tools out there. So with that, I started realizing, okay, this is valuable. Whatever I'm doing is valuable. And then started showcasing the kind of random apps I'm building on communities, etc. And people started approaching to me to build something for them. Back then, I never knew I could charge money for this.
Right.
But the first client who came and told me that I can pay you for doing XYZ things, I was like, oh, this might make sense. Now, during the pandemic, everybody is sitting at home. I was just playing around and I started getting money in. And that's where I thought, okay, this can be converted into a business. Let's give it a shot. From there, it started building a few projects here and there, building something, showcasing to the world, getting a new client, building for them, showcasing, getting a new client. Cycle continues. And as soon as the cycle started exploding, then I started working on a little bit of branding, came up with the name Modernizing Processes, because that's the journey, like process and modernize the process. So came up with those things and started growing from there. Now we are at a point where we have worked with so many different clients and so many different industries, and I can pinpoint a process and say, okay, this is the problem, this is the loophole, this is the thing I can solve, and this is how it can improve with NoCode, AI, etc. And I'm still focused on modernizing processes. My whole end goal is solve business problems.
Yeah, that was my next question eventually also, that what are the use application of NoCode? Like, we know that there is front end, there is back end, and there is full stack, and then there is processes. So what are the different ways of using NoCode? And because in AI also, there are so many NoCode apps now. So what are the different processes, which you automate? And before you answer that, right, I want to know, like, which are the tools a person should learn when they enter into NoCode journey. So like Webflow is for this, Glide is for this. So if you can just brief me about the same.
Great. I think I answered this in the beginning, but there are three things with NoCode that you can do at the moment is what I can see. One is websites. Okay. Now that bucket is also very big, but anything to do with front end, which is more to do with websites. Second is apps. Apps are usually functional. Apps are where if you do this, this happens. Apps are more of logic oriented stuff. And third is automations. Automations is more like, if this happens, do that. It's not an interface, it's not an app, it's just an API, it's just a logic it's just a trigger action model. That, for example, if you rotate the key, start the car, start the engine. That's an automation. It's in the tech world. But similarly, it's in the mechanical world. Similarly, in the tech world, if for example, Yash has ordered on Zomato, send him a notification.
Okay.
If the order is picked, inform Yash about order being picked. Something like that. So it's a trigger action model. Those are automations. Now all these three things have no code applications. And in all these three things, you can go deeper and you can find various different things. For example, just for web apps, there could be apps for B2C, apps for B2B, apps for data analytics, apps for trading, apps for finance, for various industries also. So it keeps on, there are smaller buckets for everything. But as a generalist, I would always recommend starting with a general approach. That start diving into it, start thinking, do you like front end more? Do you like design more? Do you like logic more? Do you like automation more? From there, get into that bucket and start with exploring everything. If you're confused, then figure out what you like more, what kind of industry you like more, and try to find a tool that matches that industry and go into that.
Okay.
Now, from my experience, I really liked working with Google Sheets. Hence, Glide was the perfect fit for me. Okay, but to answer the next question, what kind of tools you should explore? As a beginner, I would always recommend not working with something too complex like Bubble. But Bubble should be something that you keep as your graduation day, because Bubble is one app does everything. It's just below code. Okay, one of the examples. The entry points, I would always start with very simple stuff, which is more like, so on the website front, there is something like Software, there's Webflow, there is Card, and there are plenty more, but these three are really good. In the web apps or in the apps front, there's Glide, of course. There's Adalo, which is more of native apps. Then there is AppSheet. Then there is probably, I think these three come on the top of my mind. And in terms of automation, there is Zapier, there is Make, there is NA10, and Coupler, etc.
Wow.
And then one more sector comes in, which is more of documentation and project management, where there is Notion. Notion is something I would recommend everybody to work through, because that can
One
be
of the
applied to
best
anybody.
productivity tool.
Correct. And Notion is actually a mix of everything. So this I think I named probably 10. So this 10 is what I would recommend starting your world with. And of course, you can find something which is similar, which makes more sense to you.
That is really a great, educative thing which you have told me right now, because let's say, now coming to another question, right? So I learned Bubble, or I learned something known as Webflow as a business person. So there are two parts. One is, as a business person, I want to know how much money I am saving if I come to you, right? If there's and how do I save it? That's one of the question. And second is, if I am a consultant like you, how much money I can earn per hour, right? Because it's all about monetization.
Okay.
So because if I understand that this much of money I am going to save, this much of time I'm going to save. Time is money. So why not leveraging NoCode and AI? So I want to ask you this. It's the highlight of this particular podcast.
So fit. Great question.
Yeah.
Now let's talk from a business owner point of view.
Yeah.
For a business owner, one thing is time is money. Okay. That's one factor where you are saving time and indirectly you are saving money. When you talk about saving time, there are multiple times that you can save. One is saving time for yourself. Other is saving time for your team. Third is saving time for development. Because all these three times are going to directly correlate to money.
Yeah.
Because it's salaries. Okay. Second is, for a business owner, you can save money in terms of intangible benefits, which is errors, which is bottlenecks, which is stress-freeness. You can't put a monetary value to any of these things, but because if these things are eliminated, a business owner can do much more. They can focus on creative stuff, which is visionary stuff, which is required. Now, can you put a value to your time for visionary stuff? You can't, because you don't know. You can take this company from 1x to 10x or 100x, or you get a new idea and you make $1 billion. You don't know. But that intangible benefit also needs to factor in. Okay. Now, how we speak to business owners when we are talking about saving their time and money. Okay. For example, we identify a process from point A to point B. Right now, we put it together for them, and we are like, okay, right now, currently, it takes so much amount of effort and so much amount of time for your team. And we factor in multiple things, such as the time spent by you and your team, the amount of effort it takes, like creative effort for the members, because effort is equal to skill. For example, if a job takes a lot of skill, it's also expensive. If a job is something which is mechanical, like repetitive, it's not a high skill job. So amount of time, amount of effort. Third is number of errors that are there possible in this current process.
Yeah.
For example, if somebody does something, writes something wrong, or enters something in a faulty manner, or puts a wrong formula, things can go wrong. So the kind of errors that you're seeing right now in your process. Fourth is we see the number of bottlenecks that you have. Bottlenecks is basically dependencies. Now, you can reach point B only when the smaller milestones are complete. But every milestone has a dependency on the person. And if that person is sick, nothing can happen. If that person, he just has to do an approval, but he's out for a vacation, nothing will happen. Now, this approval workflow, if it can be automated based on the logic that you have, you are eliminating the bottleneck altogether. So we identify the bottlenecks for them. So these 4 factors we put together. And then 5th factor is more about the stress, the kind of mental peace you might have.
Job satisfaction.
Putting all these 5 factors together, we put a price value to the first 4 factors because you can put. First 3 factors you can put. 4th factor is more open-ended. 5th factor you don't put a value to it. These 4 factors are my base value of the proposal. And 5th factor is we leave it up to the founder. You put a value to your mental space, and based on that we give a proposal. So just to showcase that, okay, this is the amount of effort and amount of time we can see. Now, when you talk about the actual value that you can save, it varies from entrepreneur to entrepreneur. Because if I'm doing the same thing for somebody who is at another scale, their time is more valuable. Sure. Their people's time is more valuable. Their creativity time is more. So the best part about technology is you can solve small problems, you can solve big problems. You just have to decide and get into it.
I just want to know the average. So let's say you want to build an app for an average businessman with a revenue where they start with like a 5 lakh to let's say 50 lakh.
Correct.
Let's give up blocks, right? 5 to 50, 50 and crore and above.
I'll make it simple.
Yeah.
Sure, okay. In my opinion, if I'm building an app, it should do work of at least one person in the team.
Okay.
I'm not comparing it with taking away a job. It's just saying that the app should do enough work that one person could do.
Right.
And I would correlate it to one person's salary. So one person, assume that you are a small company, a 5 to 50 lakh company. Their one person's salary is on an average 25,000 a month.
Great.
Right? 25 to 30,000 a month. Extrapolate it to 12 months because your app is by default for 12 months it's going to give you something. So 30,000 into 12 months is 3.5 lakhs, 3.6 lakhs. Okay. Plus some benefits on top of it. So somewhere around 3 to 4 lakhs is what on an average I would put for an app. That's for a small business.
Got it.
Same thing if you go to a MNC, their average salaries are not 25,000. Right. You know the average salary. So accordingly we scale.
Wow, that's a great thing. So again, so what I know, right? So I was just doing a research, sometime before. The average salary for a NoCode right now in India is around 12 to 15 lakhs, and for a coders is around 7 to 10 lakhs, right? So I was wondering, right? So it's because in US how it works is per hour it is going to be $200 per hour.
Correct.
If you do a consultancy in NoCode. So मुझे तो लग रहा है कि सब बंद करके NoCode ही चालू करना पड़ेगा.
It's a good thing, no doubt about it. When we talk about hourly rates, this is my take on hourly rates. The problem with hourly rates is you're not getting paid consistently. It's a $200 per hour ka rate because that person is going to hire you for 4 hours.
Got it.
So you get paid for those 4 hours, but to deliver the work for that 4 hours, you have spent a lot of hours before to achieve that skill. You spend a lot of hours after this to get your next client as well. So there's a lot of time and effort that's put together, and hence your hourly rate comes to $200 an hour. Now, if there are people who are getting paid $200 an hour for 40 hours a week for 4 weeks, I would like to meet those people because that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
In consultancy world, it's not consistent. As soon as it gets consistent, as soon as a client comes in and says, I want 40 hours of yours for 4 weeks consistently, they will say that, okay, I know your rate card is $200 an hour, but this is the amount of hours I need, then let's negotiate. Because that will happen.
True.
Right? So yes, NoCode on an hour It's very valuable, no doubt about it. But currently, it's also growing, so there's a lot of awareness gap. Not a lot of people know about it. Not a lot of people are coming and asking for it.
Right.
Of course, there's a lot of value, but you have to go and create awareness to that person. You have to put effort in creating content around it. You have to put effort in showcasing what is possible, etc. Because not everybody understands it. Put the cost value to that, and it again becomes somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. So you know that I have been consulting many startups,
Yeah.
right, and many entrepreneurs. I've seen many entrepreneurs doing this mistake. First thing, they go to IITs and the tech world and the engineering colleges, hire engineers at whatever 6-8 lakh packages to start their coding or the product journey, right? They will not go to a consultant or a no-code player, and they are not ready to spend 3.5 lakh, but they're ready to spend 6 lakh per person.
Correct.
And they are 4 person in the team. So I also don't think that they think in a very logical way. But as you mentioned, right, no code has limitations. So we'll be talking about that. So before we go on that, so everywhere in YouTube, right, everywhere in YouTube or social media, you see that people talk about their success. Right? People talk about their success stories. They talk about they acquired this client. And agar aapko itna kamana hai, to itna, this is the way you need to do it. I want to ask you, let's not talk about success today. What were your failures when you started? And I believe we all, like you, me, still faces failures, right? Every single day there are small wins, and every single day there are failures. So what were your 3 major failures when you started this journey, and how did you cope up with that?
Great. So I think I'm still doing failures, as you rightly mentioned, because every day you're learning new things, and everything that you do can go in either positive or in negative way. But this is how I approach things, because as a startup owner, if you start thinking of failures consistently, you start pulling yourself down, and it becomes you need to be the optimist in the room. Okay, so I consider my failures to be more of learnings. Okay? I always mention them that these are my top 3 learnings. The only way a failure becomes a failure is if you do it twice.
Yeah.
So if you do the same thing again and again, if you don't learn out of it, then it's a failure.
Yeah.
So thankfully, I would say I haven't had big failures, any such, because if there are failures, then I would have shut the company and stopped. But all of these have been learnings. So let me talk about the 3 learnings. One is, in the beginning when I started, I did not document anything. Okay. Now, when I'm not documenting anything, the next time I'm doing something, take the podcast. If I did a podcast once, next time I'm doing it, I'm doing the whole things again and again. I'm wasting my time. So as soon as I started learning that documenting is extremely important, I started factoring a little more time for that. So now we have a proper process where documentation is a part of the process. And it's not that we complete the project and then we'll document.
Right.
It has to be done while we are doing it, because later nothing happens. That is first learning. Second learning, this is something I'm still coping with it, but was that in the beginning when I started, I always tried to hire people who I knew, people who were around me, who I knew from the beginning. I knew that for multiple reasons, because I didn't want to take the effort to go and find people from outside.
Right.
Okay, it was my laziness. It was also my convenience. But that can work in both ways. Sometimes working with people you know is phenomenal till the time you have to become a boss to them. Yeah. So the line between friendship and being a boss was blurry. In the beginning, it was very blurry. Now we have found a way to work with the people we know. So now we have put boundaries that in work hours we are working, in non-work hours we are friends. So establishing those boundaries and establishing those communication with the team, with the people I am friends with, was important. So it's not a learning that I won't work with people I know. I'll still work with people I know, but I'll keep professionalism and personal life a little different. That's it. And the third failure was, in the beginning when you start, you want to do everything for your clients. So when I was also starting, I used to do everything for my clients, and eventually would get taken for granted. Because as soon as you start going out of the way and you don't get credit for it, for whatever reason, going out of the way also means answering a call at 1 a.m. in the night.
Right.
Okay. In the beginning, it's all glamorous because you are enjoying working with clients and you like it. But when you do that a lot more, you start giving more than the value that you have put together, two things will happen. One is clients may take you for granted. It's also subconscious. They may take you for granted and you start feeling that this is minimal. This you have to do for them.
Yeah.
Second is because you're going out of the way consistently, you start getting burnt out. You start getting, you are always factoring so much effort, but you're putting so much effort. And if you're doing it for all the clients, you don't have any time for yourself. You don't have any time for creativity. So I started getting very burnt out. And then eventually I started putting clear routines, clear expectations for my clients as well.
Wow.
Which, if it's clearly mentioned, everybody respects. So that was the third biggest learning I had.
I think all the three learnings, I have gone through the same. And I connected with the second learning more. Like when you bring your friends to work with you, you really, there is the line which you talked about, right? You really need to know where you're a boss and where you're not a boss, right? So you need to balance yourself. Coming to the third learning, I tell you one simple case, right? So I have been very clear to my team also. Whenever you start building processes, create SOPs, make sure it is in writing, make sure it is documented, make sure it is, sent to the clients also. And we are also very customer centric, right? We want to do everything for our clients. But eventually what happens when you do everything for your clients, they expect a lot from you.
Correct.
And they expect 10 to 100 times more than like what they were expecting before. Right?
Exactly.
So you have to have that SOPs. You need to have that expectation setting right, as you rightly mentioned. If your expectation setting is right and you don't oversell yourself, you don't over glorify yourself, you will be able to cope up with the client's requirements. So, great learning. So let's talk about one of your biggest project which you did recently. That is Project Bara.
Okay.
And I really want to know about this. This is a very fancy thing which an entrepreneur has done. And eventually I want to know the key takeaways from that particular project. So for all the people who are listening to us, do make sure that you, focus on this part. It's a very cool marketing strategy which Manan has applied. Right.
Great. So with Project Bara, this was actually more like it just came to us. I mean, it's been an idea for quite some time in my head, but the whole point was we were finding it a big challenge to showcase our work. Okay, because it involves a long conversation with anybody to even explain that what do we do.
Yeah.
Now I can't scale like that, right? Because only the people who are interested and have time to spend in this kind of attention gap generation who probably has like a 7 to 8 seconds is what I've been researching, that it's a 7 to 8 second attention span that people have. How can I even make an impact in 7 to 8 seconds? Okay. So my whole intention was to capture attention first. Second, to showcase my work. Showcase the work that as a company we have been doing.
Yeah.
And third, to travel. Personally. Yeah. It's a personal thing as well.
Yeah.
So,
before you explain me that, right? Yeah. First explain what exactly you did.
Sure. So Bara basically was a 12-week project. Hence the name. So the tagline is 12 weeks, 12 processes, 12 cities. And the intention was to go across various different cities for a week. Every week I go to somebody, meet somebody, and build an app for them, build a process for them.
Right.
And then go to the next city, build a process in the next city. To just showcase that in 12 weeks, when a coder would do one app, a no-coder could do 12.
Yeah.
Right? Because we could do, we are confident with our skills. Okay, 12 weeks, 12 apps is possible. It's just showcasing it to the world. And how do I showcase it to the world? It has to be like a lightning strike. It has to be something out of the box. Only then you can capture attention. Hence, we added the third variable, which was 12 cities. Mm-hmm. Of course, I also want to travel. So if I put it together like this, I get to roam 12 cities on my own.
So tell me about these 12 cities which you went to.
Actually, I ended up going to 25 cities in the end because, yeah, when an entrepreneur makes plans, the plans will not execute the way you make the plan. But yes, I'll flip it to 12 countries now.
Yeah.
Because 25 cities will be long. But 12 countries, UK, Ireland, Scotland, Monaco, Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, Germany, Brussels, and Amsterdam.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Netherlands, sorry,
Yeah.
Amsterdam is a city. Netherlands, yeah. So
Great, but I mean, still visiting this 12 cultures, right? 12
Correct.
cities, 12 countries, 25 cities, sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm very sure the major part is not about just marketing yourself. It's about learning from them and actually, learning what they require. And you are meeting so many entrepreneurs in your daily life also. So what was the difference between the Indian entrepreneurs and this entrepreneurs there?
there's a very big difference, frankly. And this is specific to Europe. Being in Europe has really relaxed people. Okay, so people over there prioritize their life a lot more, prioritize their family life, family in the sense their own personal space,
Right.
And professional space is also like it's a
Balance.
equal balance.
Yeah.
In India, we are hustlers. Specifically speaking about Mumbai,
Yeah.
people in Mumbai are hustlers, and that also applies to the rest of the country. That we really like growing and hustling because the democracy is growing, the country is growing, everything. So it follows to everybody. Across in Europe, as a general idea, people are a lot more relaxed. It's also to do with why their economy is strong and how they get benefits, etc. But they're quite relaxed and they're very focused when they work. So whatever they're doing, they're really focused. So if you're doing a meeting, they'll keep their phones aside, they'll keep everything aside, and they're completely focused for the meeting. If they're doing a vacation, you try to send an email to any European in August, and you will get the same reply. Sorry, I'm out of office till end of August. I'll come back, and so everything they do is focused.
Yeah.
That includes to sports, to culture, to life, to party, to work, everything. It's a very different way of life, but it's also like I really found a lot of good things from there, which I started implementing here. I can't say this for the entire 12 countries. Every country has, like European Union, I compare it with India very, very much. European Union and India are equivalent in a way.
Okay.
Like in terms of, because India has multiple states, European Union has multiple countries.
Yeah.
And you move from one country to another, and the culture changes, the food changes, the clothes change, the language changes.
Yeah.
Same thing, you move from one state to another, same things change. So lots of various different learnings. But this was the primary thing that.
Going back to the question one, like what were the 3 takeaways for Project Bara? Now, so what we learned from this is that Manan visited 25 cities, 12 countries, and he actually went and met many founders, and he tried to solve and build an app with that founders. So 3 successful projects and 3 failures. Fast.
Great. 3 successful projects. One was we built an app for a yachting company in Monaco, and we won the competition there.
Oh wow!
So we built it for an entrepreneur who was taking part in a business competition, and with our app he won the competition. Like in working together. Second was an AI project. Very interesting. We were working with consultants who spent 2 weeks, up to 2 weeks, to build a proposal for one of their customers. Any customer who comes in, because they have to do a lot of work. We reduced the 2 weeks to 2 days using AI, using their past data and AI. So we have now a process where they insert information, they hit submit, and the proposal is auto-generated. And now a human has to just change certain things.
Right.
So the 2 weeks that could be taken for them to build a proposal comes to 2 days.
Wow.
That was the second win. Third win was working with a larger corporation in one of their internal process, which it's NDA protected, so I can't share that. But internally, they were spending probably 5 hours a day to take care of that one process, and now they're spending only 2, with automation.
Wow.
Because it was done very traditionally. So yeah, these are the 3 big wins. 3 takeaways with this project was: 1, plans will fail. So keep backup B, C, D, E, F for that matter, but not so much. But at least keep backup plan. At least keep 2 backup plans for any big initiative you're trying to take, because otherwise your mental state can go up. Second is, routine really matters. Throughout this trip, because I was traveling consistently, I had to conserve my energy as well. So in the beginning, when I started, first time I was doing this, I would lose a lot of energy in random things. So eventually I figured out that, okay, I need to create a routine, and I need to sleep well, I need to focus on all those things, which in India I would never worry about. Yeah, third biggest takeaway would be that trust in your team members. Before I left for this, I was always wanted to do everything on my own. But these 3 months, I had to leave everything to my team members. And when I let go of certain things, I could see that my team members can still manage it and they can sometimes do a better job. And thankfully, because of that, now there are certain things that they are doing on their own, which I don't even need to worry about.
Wow, that's amazing. So, moving ahead, the topic of the hour, or you can say the trending topic in the world, that is AI, right? Before we move towards AI, I have a question for you, right? I want to be a major contributor towards a 5 trillion economy of India, right? We all are focusing there. We all want to reach there. And I personally believe that it's going to be NoCode and AI, which is going to help all the small entrepreneurs, SMEs, MSMEs to, digitalize their process and actually, scale their business into 10x. So what do you believe? So when you talked about Project Bara right now, you said that there everybody was doing traditionally. So I don't know, like what they were doing. Are they still on pen and paper? And in India, that, joint family into businesses, or you can say MSMEs, right? Still focuses only on revenue. They don't focus on processes.
Correct.
They're still on paper and pen. जैसे वैसे ही करेंगे हम. Or they are not ready to change also.
I would actually differ there.
Okay.
A lot of our generation people who are coming into businesses want to change it.
So that's generation 3. I mean,
yes,
that's the third generation,
correct,
right? But what about the first and second generation? Are they coping up with AI and NoCode? क्या उनको सिखाना चाहिए? क्या उनको awareness देना चाहिए? Yeah, it's okay. Like, let's go for generation 3. Like, what is your...
Any production life cycle has a curve. Okay?
Yeah.
The curve starts with trendsetters, then starts with early adopters, and then starts with mass adoption.
Yeah.
In my opinion, with NoCode and AI both, we are currently in the middle of trendsetters plus early adopters. Trendsetters are 2% of the market. Early adopters are probably 20% of the market. We are in the middle somewhere. Okay. So with traditional businesses also, these same traditional businesses 10 years back did not believe in having a website. Now, if you see, all traditional businesses definitely have invested in a website for sure. Even if it's outdated, but they have invested and they have now realized that digital marketing is needed, etc. It's just they wait for somebody else to do it first and then copy it.
Yeah,
it's fine. What I strongly feel is right now the people who have the most potential to digest, also to make a difference out of this, are still the early adopters and the early adopters who see that okay, NoCode, the trendsetters have already done their job. They have validated that NoCode can do very, very well. AI can do very well. Now the early adopters are seeing that okay, they have done it. I also want to do it, and I don't want to miss the wave. So I personally want to focus on that segment and not on going and changing the complete knowledge of everybody, because as soon as I do it for this segment, that segment, there will be a pull rather than me going and trying to push. So that's what my intention is.
No, so I think you started at home, right? When I said this, like the traditional businesses are not coping up with the modern trends. You started at home. I think your business was into something else, and then you have your own startup. But the first customer is your own family.
Correct.
So I want to know about that also. So if you can just brief me about that story.
So basically the same thing. I'm generation 3.
Yeah.
I came into the business and I saw, okay, there is a lot of mess which can be automated. And I'm like, our generation doesn't want to do anything traditionally. We have seen, we are in the smartphone era.
Right.
We have seen from analog to digital. I think the next generation will just see digital. So we have seen the difference, and we can see that, okay, traditional businesses are analog. How can we get them to digital? So I just got in over there and was like, okay, this needs to change. And I think there are a lot of people like me right now out there who is my target audience as well.
Sure. No, so I really want to know that only, like the journey when you went to your dad for the first time, right?
No, that's interesting.
And, how did he first of all understood what you were talking about? Because there are many, I'll tell you, tier 2, tier 3, right? In specifically, I visited so many entrepreneurs' home, right? And they actually started their company because their dads were not listening to them.
Correct.
Right? And they went through that journey and they were like, let's prove it. Like, they want to prove to somebody. They want to prove their family. They want to prove the world that, you know what, I know the technology. I know with technology, I can cope up.
Correct.
Now, what you said, the early adopters. Now, people are actually changing the pattern. What they're doing is they are actually building first. Then they are going to their families and they are like saying that, hey, you know what, this I made. This is how it will help my family business. So definitely there is a change which you can see, but still I believe personally that 80% of the India traditional businesses are still yet to cope up with the technology, and if they do, then we'll reach 5 trillion easily.
I agree, but at the same time, I don't see it very far in the future, because if you see just the adoption of UPI and adoption of the digital money
Right.
in India was super fast.
Okay.
So the time that it took for internet to come in was a little longer, but I don't see that adoption of technology will take so much time. It's probably a matter of years and not decades. But yes, what you say is right. We are really at the beginning and at the cusp, I would say. Agreed.
Sorry.
And in my case, thankfully, I had like the principals of my family business, like my father and his brothers and stuff. They were open to experiment, is what I would say. I had a lot of challenges with the people who were traditionally in the business and who tell them that this might work, etc. But I was given a free hand to experiment. So that way, I would say I'm privileged in that way that I got that platform to go and play around. But infusing it in the business took a while. It took a lot of challenges. That's a conversation for another day, probably. Yeah.
Great. So now, as I said, AI, right? So first is, what is AI according to you? Second, how have you leveraged AI into your processes or into your company? Want to know about
Great.
that?
See, AI is, the word says artificial intelligence, but it's still one level ahead of NoCode, is what I would say. It's basically understanding the human brain and figuring out patterns and making a standard process out of it. So it's like an SOP, is what I would say. AI is a machine who gets trained on the pattern that you're doing. For example, every day you're searching something in a similar pattern. AI will say, from tomorrow stop it, I will do it for you.
True.
Okay, so any kinds of patterns that are repetitive, the AI can take over. So if you're doing the same calculation every day, previously you needed code, now AI can do it. Stuff like that. Okay, so content creation for that matter. That's something that AI does very well, because it has so much information, so much data, so much content that's already being produced, and there's more coming out, which it sees, and it's like, okay, this is the market, what it's doing. If this is the input, this is the output, something like that. So AI is basically, that is what AI we see nowadays. There are also a lot of engineers working on proper LLM models and machine learning, etc. But in the end, it's basically learning. Artificial intelligence is learning from something that exists.
Right.
It's not building something new.
True.
It's just learning from data that is fed into it. So
Okay.
AI, in my opinion, from what I understand, is you have a lot of data that is fed into it. Based on that, you are telling the machine to learn something out of it, learn patterns, identify structure, identify patterns, and then give an output.
Right.
So it again becomes an engine. It becomes a machine. You feed input, AI does something based on what it's learned and gives you an output. And it keeps getting powerful.
Okay. No, but is AI equal to automation?
Not just that. AI can do a lot of things. Automation is a part of it.
Right. So when we talk about generative AI, so generative AI is obviously, like, in simple words, when you take inspiration from something which is already built,
Correct.
and build something like which is on the internet. It scrap the data, it basically create the noise and create an output of it. As if we ask a right question to that what we say is prompt, right? Prompt to the right generative AI platform, and we get the output. So to answer the question, to basically ask you again, what are the technologies you are using in your team, and how are you using and leveraging AI?
Certain things like, firstly, voice to text. Okay, so now that voice, AI can easily pass that data. Voice to text always existed, but voice to text to actionable items. So we use this very, very often. Whenever we are doing meetings, we leave voice notes for the AI because we don't like typing and it takes a lot of time. Voice notes convert into tasks, convert into my project management app. It will basically create tasks for my team.
Got it.
Okay. Second is reminders, automated reminders. Now, the thing with reminders and any kind of notifications is, if you send the same thing again and again every day, it becomes something that you won't pay attention to. So with AI, we try to change the language every time.
Right.
based on some prompt engineering. Then third is we use AI for calculations. A lot of simple calculations for which we had to write bigger formulas. AI can do it.
Right.
To generate simple lines of code, simple lines of front end code, etc. We let AI help us.
Okay.
A lot of content creation. We use AI to get us to some benchmark and then work on top of it.
Okay.
So all those things, all those places where we try to use AI a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
It's a work in progress, in my opinion. We are infusing AI more and more and more every single day.
True. So, I mean, companies like you, right? I have been consulting them to how to leverage AI, not only for content creation, because people think that AI
It's just
currently is just for
content.
content
It's not.
creation. It is not. Right? It is way more than it. So, there are so many tools into a different ecosystem. Now, there is a tool which, if you have heard the news lately, like Ambani and Nvidia are coming up with their own semiconductors project, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Ambani is actually partnering with Nvidia. So it is the news of the town, right? And if it is a successful thing, why is Ambani investing in semiconductors? Because he knows that the future is going to be AI. And for each and everything, right? AI, like every single role. So how I take this is every single specialization or every single role tomorrow, right? Maybe it's a HR or HR mein there is payroll, right? There will be a single AI tool for the same, right? Everywhere there will be leaders of this particular segments of the processes, right? Eventually that AI, there's a race. Everybody will run to the race that I want to be the kingmaker. I want to be the first person who is famous everywhere for that category. So, and to win that category, what you need to do is so everybody builds products, but they're not able to sell the product. So I want to know from you, so you are building products every single day for entrepreneurs. How many entrepreneurs are really successful enough to sell it? And like maybe they leverage AI into it. And how many entrepreneurs are not able to do it? What are the major reasons of it?
Yeah, so based on the patterns that we have seen, entrepreneurs who are able to sell the products that they build are the ones who are working in that field for a while before. So there's one thing that I correlate to everything, right? Okay, is depth. The person who's building the product needs to know the depth of the industry, the depth of the problem, okay, of the problem statement. What are they building the product for? If they know the depth of that, and if they know the depth of the user who's going to use it, the product becomes successful automatically.
Okay.
Because now they have worked in that industry, they know people in the ecosystem, they know how those people think, the psychology of those people. How can they create a viral loop out of this? How can they create referral campaigns, etc. But the people who think, okay, there's AI and there's a gap in HR right now. I know nothing about HR, but I want to build a product for HR because there's a gap. And they try to build that without having a lot of depth of knowledge. It's just basic research that you do on Google, which everybody can do. It doesn't help. So the experience really matters. The human touch to it, the human experience makes a lot of difference over here.
That's a very good success pattern. So I'm really amazed to know this, right? So there are people, like there are so many thought leaders who are saying, if you're not connected to your problem statement, and if you don't know, you might know the gap, but you're not able to connect to that gap, right? You need to have experience. That's one of the factors, and you should also be into it to solve the problem. So if you're connected to it, then you are successful. So that's the success pattern which I also.
And now on the same lines, I will just add this: like in my team, we can build products every single day. Why wouldn't we just go and build products? Because currently we are not confident. We don't have enough exposure of that industry. Right. We don't know what the audience thinks like. We don't know what the problem is. It doesn't make sense for us to just randomly make products and try to push it in the world and people will use it. It's not that easy.
Right.
Product development is still, the art is still psychology. It's still customer behavior. It's still the problem statement, etc. These are just tools to make things faster.
Great. So I want to know now, tools. Are you using generative AI? Like which platform you're using? You're using ChatGPT. Then how are you using it?
Correct.
So what are the 3 top platforms you're using and how are you using it?
So currently we're using one platform, I would say. Actually 2.
Okay.
One is ChatGPT, because ChatGPT has APIs and stuff which we could easily consume for now. We haven't explored the other models yet to the most of our exposure. We are using some graphic design tools like Midjourney and stuff, but those are as and when it calls for it. So we Google something and we find some tool and we work it. But on a regular basis, we are using ChatGPT whole and soul.
Got it.
ChatGPT, but with APIs. So we infuse the ChatGPT API in the product that we build.
Got it.
Second tool that we are using is Glide AI. Glide AI is also working with ChatGPT on the backend, but it has put everything on the product itself.
So tell me about Glide AI, what it is. Can you go in depth what it is?
So Glide is a no-code tool.
Okay.
It allows us to build apps and stuff.
Okay.
Now, Glide itself has created an AI for itself internally. So you don't need to connect to ChatGPT, you don't need to send an API call, etc., etc. It has AI infused inside on the backend, where you can convert your text to summary, you can or convert audio to text, you can figure out text to choice. Like you put a text and find out a sentiment. If it's happy or sad. Glide AI can do that. Glide AI can do stuff like creating calendar meeting invites, answering prompts, summarizing data, etc. So all these features really help if we already have a process and we want to automate certain things which previously would have taken 2 more entries for the user, now are not needed. Now those entries are redundant because AI can take care of it.
Oh wow. So currently you're focused totally on ChatGPT, right?
Yes.
I'll tell you, like, I've been consulting 15 to 20 of my clients, right? And we're just focusing on how to use AI into their different processes. So as you talk about Midjourney, it's a text to image model. So same way, there are so many tools. Like I'll tell you one of the tools, which is Semi.ai, which is basically a competitor of NVIDIA. NVIDIA video editing tool. Now, what does it do is basically NVIDIA is the most, and Adobe is there, but definitely NVIDIA's powerful video editing tool is like, you take 8 days to 20 days to 30 days to just render the videos, right? It is a very high video editing software. But this tool has just launched recently last week and they're competing with NVIDIA. So such tools which are actually going to save time, like NoCode, right? NoCode is totally towards the development of processes, web app, and etc. AI is everywhere.
Correct.
Right? AI is going to be everywhere, and there are some major products which are actually helping entrepreneurs to simplify their processes.
Correct.
So for you, the last and the final question which I want to close on is basically, what is your take towards artificial intelligence in a way that, first, will it replace jobs? Is that true or not? And I know the answer because you have already told me at the start of this podcast. But what is your take towards how AI will basically replace jobs and take on how AI will disrupt? And is it scary enough? Because I have spoken to my dad, right? And he's just like, AI to sab tabah kar dega. ऐसे तो अगर AI आ गया तो सब तबाह कर देगा, and then we all will be jobless. So what is your take towards that?
My take is the same. The Starbucks example that I gave. What I strongly feel is AI is going to just make possibilities of more work to happen. So there will be opportunities to do much more on a larger scale. Yes, it will take away jobs which are repetitive, which do not require a lot of creative effort. People who are coming in every single day and doing the same things all day long, such as data entry, such as even copywriting on a lower level, where they are just simple copywriting what they are doing. But any job that is creative, any job that is creatively using AI to do better, will not go away, and they'll just get empowered. So I think there's a band in the bottom which goes away, and there's a band on top which comes in, because people who can leverage AI well, people who can write good prompts, who can make the most out of it. For example, you also, the way you consult, like such jobs will rise. So there will be a lot more people, maybe in the middle band, who will jump on the top band, and the lower band has job skills themselves. So the people who are doing repetitive stuff, for example, a typewriter, till the time keyboards did not come in, typewriters, people who would do things on a typewriter were really valuable, because only they knew how to do it well. As soon as keyboards came in, you have a backspace now, that whole job goes away.
Right.
Same example for a helicopter and videographer.
Right.
As soon as drones came in, that whole job went away. It doesn't mean the industry got smaller, right?
Right.
Industry got bigger only. Because with drones, you can do a lot more. So there's a new spectrum of job which came in, which is drone flyers. So probably the pilots who are flying the helicopters will not transition into drone flyers directly. They'll have to find something else. But there will be a new complete industry of jobs, which is drone flyers. Similarly for AI, is what I feel.
Okay. No, because I recently, like, if you know about deepfake, what it is like, and like the news, in the news, right, what is happening is people are using deepfake to basically do their political agenda also, right? And what is happening, second level, is that the countries are taking decisions to ban some of the generative AI. Or there was a meet, I think, recently with all the leaders in the world, like Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, where they're deciding how to make sure that AI is going to be safe for everybody tomorrow. So I told the same thing to my dad, saying that don't worry, not everybody is going to be jobless and not everything will be destroyed. But yeah, there was a report in Gartner recently, 2024 to 2026 is the most delicate time, right? And so there was something known as nuclear bomb, there was something known as bioweapon, now there is an AI bomb. Right, which is getting manufactured. So AI can be misused also.
For sure.
So, and the biggest, I would tell to my audience also, the biggest skill if you want to upskill, right? And if you feel that your job is going and it is redundant and it is not in the, it's not going to be, how do I say? It's not going to be relevant in next 5 years. You should upskill yourself in cybersecurity, because that's something which will pay you well. And there is a huge demand in cybersecurity now. So that's something which would be my take. But yeah, I mean, I think we are done. Thank you so much, Manan, for your inputs. And I hope, you and your company, just kill all the no-code competition and you grow a lot. That's best wishes.
Likewise, I would say the same for you. I strongly still feel that there's no competition. It's a very collaborative world right now. And everybody who is working with the NoCode is my friend right now at the moment, and we are just making the pie bigger.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much. And so thank you so much, guys. If you like this podcast, my team and me are working very hard to call such entrepreneurs on our podcast channel. We are having only one single mission, कि आपको ऐसे पॉडकास्ट से वैल्यू मिले, और हम ये वैल्यू आपको दो चीजों में क्रिएट करके देंगे. एक, कि एआई को कैसे यूज करना है इन कंपनीज, इन योर वर्क लाइफ और इन योर डेली वर्क रूटीन. दूसरा, कि एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को ऐसे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स से मिलके कैसे अपनी फंडिंग राउंड में हेल्प होगी, और कुछ बूटस्ट्रैप स्टार्टअप्स को कैसे सक्सेस मिलेगा. So if you like this podcast, do subscribe, and I will see you in the next podcast.